day here in Budapest. We hope you are refreshed during the lunch break, so you were refreshed during the break. So let's continue the conference, and we will open another topic right now, ladies and gentlemen, which is called Technology for a Sustainable World.
The first speaker in the afternoon is coming from Poland. He has joined Huawei Technologies, I checked on the internet, in 2008. So he is Mr. Radoslav Kędzia. Now he is the Vice President of Huawei Technologies C Nordic region. Welcome him on the stage. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Hello, good afternoon. I hope you're refreshed after the lunch break and ready for some information. It is my pleasure to be here with you today. I think I'm going to talk about the most interesting thing, which is how the companies are actually sharing what they generate with the local societies and how they can create value for European society. Now, I believe that to be a responsible citizen, we have to focus on environmental protection, and that part is very well integrated into our corporate sustainable development strategy. It is divided into 4 major parts, and before I go to each one of them, I would highly encourage you to read our sustainability report that was published a couple of weeks ago. I think it can be very interesting read. So, first one is the digital inclusion that is being conducted by our project Tech for All. And in my region we have several very good examples that I will be talking about a little bit later. So basically we want to make sure that the technology is accessible and available to all, which is a foundation of the digital economy. Second one is the security and trustworthiness, where we take due responsibilities for greater trust. Third one is the environmental protection and the ways that we as a company can contribute to clean, efficient, low carbon emission and circular economy. And fourth is healthy and harmonious ecosystems, where we stimulate the collaboration for the greater good. If we go further, our actions are very directly in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. And we address the goals 7, 9, 11, 12 and 13 in the largest part, which is affordable and clean energy, industry, innovation and infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, and the climate action. And all those sustainable development goals we address directly or indirectly. I'll try to be brief because I have several slides and only 10 minutes. So, based on the ICT, we take action in 4 major areas for creating a better planet for the future. First one is to reduce carbon emissions, as I said before. Second one is promotion of the renewable energy sources. Third is contribution to a circular economy, and conserving the nature as a fourth one. To talk about carbon reduction, we have 3 major scopes. For scope 1 is to reduce direct emissions. Scope 2 is lower indirect emissions caused by purchased electricity and steam. And for those 2, we have our approaches are to build photovoltaic power stations and energy-saving operational management each year. And for the scope 3, We encourage indirect emissions reduction caused by improvement in the supplier logistics, packaging, and usage by the customers. And to achieve it, we are implementing a technology innovation for higher efficiency of product energy. Our product, we have reduced the power consumption for our products for over 2.7 times already. We are implementing green logistics system where we are changing the packaging models, and we reuse the packaging and reuse the products that we sell. And we have also supplier energy saving projects. It looks like I only started and I'm halfway through my time, so I'll really try to be brief. So far, working with partners to promote renewable energy. Worldwide, we have achieved almost 500 billion kilowatt hours of the energy generated by the green sources. We have saved over 14.2 billion kilowatt hours of the power, thanks to the effective solutions, which is equivalent to planting 320 million trees. For the circular economy, this is a very interesting concept I wish every company can make, especially those who are dealing with the manufacturing and production and logistics. Firstly, we are using eco-friendly material that is recyclable, reusable. For example, we change plastic to steel wherever it's possible, so it's easier to reuse and put it back into the circle. We make sure that the materials that are used for packaging, as well for our solutions, are achieving less cubic meters, less volume. Number 3, we also optimize packaging and transportation, not only by weight and volume, but also optimizing the logistic routes to make sure that less fossil fuels is being burned through the logistic process. We make sure that the lifespan of our product is as long as possible, and this is actually solving 2 problems. One is the scrapping of the products, and second one is saving the investment of people who are actually investing in those products. And also we are focusing on the product recycling and making sure that we support our customers in this part. For Tech for Law, this is our long-term project that was initiated several years ago. The slogan for it is "Leaving no one behind in the digital world," and we have several actions, and those actions can be taken on one hand as environmentally friendly actions, and secondly to share the cases of how to use the technology for the greater good. So we conserve nature with the technology, and we engage. We don't do it alone. We engage it as a part of the community with the companies that are able to provide infrastructure, and with the conservationists, ecologists, national parks, and other entities. We also support equal rights and equal chance for everyone in terms of women in tech. We have our Women in Tech program is Women for Her, Tech for Her, Tech with Her and Tech by Her, where we promote, especially in our segment, in our industry, there is not many women who are choosing Polytechnic as their university of the first choice. So we are trying to make sure that everyone has equal chances, and we are providing support and help for those female students and employees who are willing to grow with their career. Also, we are investing in the students in the large scope. I'm stopping here because I'm thinking how to format. We are starting from the early age, not only with the university students, but I believe we need to start it earlier. Then we are supporting them in several initiatives that I will talk later, but also we are creating long-term platform for European youth. We are sharing our learning resources and experts We are contributing to the progress of the global ICT industry through our scientific research, and we are willing to share that with the students as well. We have started conducting our 1000 Dreams project in this region several years ago, where we provide educational tools, helping connect the schools to the internet. But those are not universities, those are primary, secondary and high schools. We are supporting children with recovered from the diseases to go back to school. We are organizing IT summer camps and courses for children. And we also helping to connect children who are away from class to be part of the education. We have our global program Seeds for the Future that you probably heard of before. We are happy to have thousands of students who went through this. We also have Seeds for the Future alumni program to see how those students are doing in the future. And on top of that, we have a follow-up program where we choose the students that require special attention, and we provide a scholarship for those students, one of which agreements we will sign today. I'm very happy about that. And also, what is very important, we're providing ICT academies, and we have over 70, where we share our knowledge, our know-how, our technology and our findings to the students through the online learning and certification programs. So I think that would conclude my presentation. My last slide has just our vision and mission of our company, to bring digital to every person, home and organization for a fully connected and intelligent world. And as much as we try to do it by producing solutions that are in line with this vision and mission, we also feel that we need to continue our responsible actions as a responsible player to stand up fully to this commitment. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kencha, thank you very much, and it's great to know that Huawei taking the social responsibility very, very seriously. Thank you very much, and I have to tell you that we will sign another Seeds for the Future program on this very stage very, very soon this afternoon. So be prepared for big things today, ladies and gentlemen. And now let's continue with our next speaker. I would like to ask the head of Skills Identification and Development Unit of the European Training Foundation to join me on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Manuela Prina.
Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank Huawei for inviting the European Training Foundation to spend this amazing day that for me is really a learning opportunity with you. So 2 words about what the European Training Foundation is. It's a European agency, an agency of the European Commission, with the mandate of focusing on supporting human capital development in countries outside the European Union and building bridges between the European Union member states and countries surrounding the EU. So we work in particular on education and training, skills development, and labor market reforms. When I got the invitation to be with you today, I actually asked, what can I tell to a community of innovators working for one of the most innovative companies and in one of the really fast accelerating innovation sectors. So I'm actually here to remind you about the importance of skills and education when we talk about innovation and when we talk about the future. First of all, let me remind you about 3 challenges we have. The first challenge is to look at the role of technology in supporting learning across life. We're talking about children, we're talking about young people, but we're also talking about adults. And we're not there yet. As you know, the pandemic gave to all of us a big opportunity to accelerate the use of technology in supporting learning, but we are not there. We're not ready yet, and we also know from the pandemic data that actually the use of technology during the pandemic revealed that we still have a lot of inequality and so a risk of exclusion from learning that we need to tackle. And here we have a big mission ahead. The second challenge is the role of skills in supporting the transition. We have heard today about amazing things that we do for greening the planet and also, making companies more competitive. But there is a big challenge that we hear from all companies across all sectors of economy. We lack skills. Can we do that by reforming the education system? Well, it will take us 50 years, so we don't have time for that. We need to diversify learning. We need to make learning available and accelerate that. So to do that, we need also to look into micro-credentials, short courses, involve employees in learning, and this is, again, a big challenge. I'm sure all of you recognize that actually engaging in learning is always a matter of time, but it's also a matter of priorities that we set at every level, individual, companies, societies. And here comes the third challenge, which is engagement in skills development in learning. In Europe, we have 13% of young people, age 15-29, that are not in education or in employment. Do you know how many people this is in real numbers? Anybody? 9 million. Think about how many people live in your city, and you get the sense of what is the drama we face. In the Western Balkans, so just outside the European Union, we have peaks of 40% of young people out of training and employment. So what is the talent we lose? What is the waste of opportunities we have? And what is the impact then on skills availability, on productivity, on innovation, on the future of our world? So what are the solutions that we have for the future? The first is working together, and the ETF is working with Huawei. We are involved in the Female Leadership Academy. It's really breaking borders and working together to accelerate opportunities for learning. It's being part of coalition, is taking actually responsibility for being part of this need, which is urgent, to ensure that everybody has opportunity for learning. The second is regarding the skills question. Whatever sector we are tackling, in energy, agro-food, transport, anything, tourism, ask yourself, what is the skills dimension? You are writing a white paper, ask yourself, what is the skills dimension? You are thinking about the future strategy with a company, ask yourself, what is the impact of skills? What do we need to do? The third is investing in skills. You know, in the European Union, we have a target for 2030, which is to have 60% of adults engaged in learning every year, which means there is not when we were at university that we studied for the last time something, is every year. Now, I will not ask you if you could say with confidence that each of you this year took time for learning. You still have a quarter to go until the end of the year. But it's very important that we create a space, because learning is at the basis of building all this vision that we have discussed today. Next year will be the year of skills for the European Union, as announced by the President of the Commission 2 weeks ago. Why skills? And I think we know that. Skills is at the basis for realizing not only the transition, but what is the just transition. It's a transition that must be fair, sustainable, inclusive. So let me say that, no skills, no future, no skills, no transition, no skills, no justice. And this is why skills is key for our future together. So very often I have the question from people asking me, what role skills development plays when we talk about innovation? Well, I reverse the question and I say, do you think an innovator can be an innovator without learning? So learning is a basis for innovation. A society that doesn't learn does not innovate. A company that doesn't learn does not innovate. A person who doesn't learn cannot be an innovator. And here, everybody loves to be called innovator. Not everybody is willing to invest in learning. And this is my wish for you as a community of innovators, that you will continue investing in skills and supporting these amazing programs that we just heard about, and also continue taking responsibility for your own learning, your company, but also society as a whole. Let me finish with just showing you, I guess you recognize this. This is a biro, is a book. Actually, we use the name biro in Italian, which is the name of the Hungarian inventor who first created this pen. And then his idea was bought 15 years later by Bic, a French person who actually created this object. It's an innovation that has 90 years, and maybe we don't need to change it. So my message is, innovation is not for the sake of innovation. Innovation is always for a purpose. And I think this purpose is really the just twin transition, where each of those words should really be what we base our cooperation on and our work for the future. So remember skills, and please invest on them. Thank you.
And in the following, our next speaker is coming from Sweden, Mr. Peter Lundin, the Vice President of Huawei Stockholm. Please, Mr. Lundin, take the stage. Very warm welcome.
So, hello. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good, excellent. So, I'm very happy to be here, and today I will talk a little bit about a new initiative that Huawei is launching today. It's actually a very important day today, because today we are kicking off the Tech Arena initiative, which is actually a innovation competition that we are running with universities across Europe this year. And as we heard earlier today by President Jeff Wang regarding the importance of academic collaboration, Huawei is committed to work with academia in Europe, and we are investing a lot of efforts and money into this. And we hope that this actually will give us a great platform for inventions and innovation. And we also believe that by working close with universities, we believe that we will have a platform for innovations, inventions, and ideas driving the future of the fully digital connected world. So why is industry and academia collaboration important? Yeah, the answer is very, very easy. It's about innovation and driving technology forward. Very, very easy. And if we go a little bit deeper into that topic, we see now that industry and academia, we are both sharing that we are both on a joint quest for the search of the groundbreaking research. We are looking into finding the technologies and solutions that are pushing the boundaries of what is possible today. And industry, and we have the ability to finance innovations and to commercialize them into commercial products. Here I see I have a typo there, but it's not fancy, it's finance. Then we both have a common view of the industry development, the needed focus areas that we need to have to drive the industry forward, and also, of course, the relevant and related competences that we need to have to support that development. And having this joint collaboration, the universities get a fantastic input to education programs, the professors get also insight to future research areas, and the ongoing related research areas also will get input on what to focus on. Second is that focused research actually will mean that you have a much more focused research on the industry need and the market needs. I mean, innovation for just innovation's sake is nothing, actually. We need to make innovations that really matters on the market. And in order to do that, you need to understand the industry and the market needs. And the third one, the collaboration is also a great enabler for students' careers, and also there's a fantastic platform for recruitment processes. I mean, here we are supporting the students with master theses, internships, and employment. Potential employment. And all in all, this is great career opportunities. And this is also important for universities as well, because if they can show to students that they actually have a great collaboration with the industry, and by that actually are able to provide them with superior collaboration program, thesis work, and also potential hiring or employment, that is a very good thing for universities as well. So, Huawei and universities or the academia collaboration, we believe that the key thing here for this is actually a joint journey where win-win is the key. It has to be something relevant for both parties in this journey. Otherwise, this doesn't work. And we believe by actually having this foundation that we provide now with the tech arena, for instance, but also with other ways of supporting joint research programs, also providing students with platforms for their competence development and so forth. We believe this is a true win-win situation. And as I said before, now we are launching the Tech Arena, which is our next initiative in the creation of a platform to support students' competence development. So, Tech Arena is a platform and a tool for universities and ourselves, of course, to provide different kind of competitions to students out there in Europe, where they are being challenged with topics and research areas and problems that are relevant of today. We want to challenge the students and make these competitions to a competence development for them. And now we are launching this initiative across Europe, and during the autumn here, we will run several competitions. We will run 8 competitions on 7 different sites in Europe. We will run them in Belgium, Ireland, Italy, UK, France, Israel, and of course Sweden as well. And I will not go into the details of these competitions. In Belgium we are running 2. I will not go into the details of what these competitions are about, but I can tell you they are all extremely relevant to the problems and the technologies we are working with today. So the students who are actually part of these competitions will be working hands-on with real problems and challenges that we have today. And also you can see at the left there, the areas that we're covering is quite broad, actually. I mean, Huawei is today, as you all know, the second largest investor in R&D in the world. We're also having the largest portfolio of products in the domain of communication. And us as a partner providing competitions, we are able to provide a lot of different areas here for the students to work with. I mean, because we have them all in our portfolio. So here, right now, we're working with ASIC technologies in the competitions here. ASIC technologies, radio frequency technologies, it's cloud, consumer products, optical, and wireless technologies. It's a quite broad area of challenges we have. And we hope now, of course, with this initiative, that the students will take the next step in the competence development. And with this, of course, we hope that they will join us in this quest for finding the new groundbreaking technologies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lundin. And thank you very much for making your way all the way from Stockholm. Thank you so much. I'm lucky enough to be involved in several university projects. One of them is the Formula Student, when the student has to build a design, plan, design and build small Formula cars, just like Formula 1 cars, but smaller, and to feel the vibe, to feel the buzz around the students and among the students. I mean, this is just amazing, and this is how can you transfer knowledge and, of course, involve them into the world of technology. Thank you very much for talking about this one. And now let's continue with this topic. I kindly ask to join me on the stage the fellow of Association for Computing Machinery to talk about the university competitions in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the Uppsala University, Professor Wang Yi.
Okay. So firstly, thanks for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm honored and pleased to speak here because Hungary is the home country of von Neumann. In my opinion, he is one of the greatest scientists in human history. So he's the father of computer. So he invented, of course, with other professors, computer 70, 80 years ago. And now, you know, we have computer everywhere, hidden in every corner of our society. It's almost like energy, water, so part of the infrastructure of our daily life. So, and this is what we call embedded system, meaning that it's really those computers hidden in other technical systems, like in the car, in 5G station, in the train, airplane, and so on. So let me spend a few minutes to summarize what is going on in research or in academia and also university. So the current trends in this domain. So let me take one example. Automotive industry. So in our car, any car running on the road, you know there are hundreds of computers. Not only that, inside the computer you have hundred computer programs running in parallel, and they have to work together to make sure the performance guarantee and safety guarantee, and also, of course, energy efficiency. So this is a complex system in terms of software system. So this is the application area is becoming more complex and demanding. On the other side, we have the hardware industry. So the hardware platform is getting even more complex. You see, in this little picture, it's just the size of our fingernails. It's less than 1 square centimeter. So there you probably have hundreds of supercomputers. If we consider the size of a computer in, let's say, in the past, 70 years ago, and now it is so small. And we have a huge parallel complex computer. And there you have a lot computational resource like memory, cache, and data bus, and so on. So the question is, how can we really deploy or implement the complex application on these little chips in the future? So this is the challenge of embedded system design. So you can just consider it as hidden computer system. So of course, this brought us huge number of challenge, not only research, but also education. So firstly, I'd like to mention that nowadays we are talking so much about AI, but unfortunately AI cannot solve this design problem. Instead, AI is in fact making the challenge more challenging. So in education area, we have to go back. I'm from the university world. We have to go back to the basics. We have to educate students, IT expert, to program this complex heterogeneous platform, which we didn't have, for example, 10, 20 years ago. And we have to make sure that the software running safely. It's not stopping, not getting a bug, for example, in your car, if the software is suddenly stopped on the highway. Of course, this is something we should try everything to avoid. And this is the safety guarantee. And we have to teach the student to learn the new generation of programming language for such new platform and new operating system. This is why we have various master program, PhD study program in many universities. So in Uppsala, we have the new master program to educate students in this particular area, and also PhD program to train new research or the next generation research to really to make our computer system more reliable, more efficient. So going back to research, this is the same picture. Of course, we want to use computer to really implement such a system for us. So we use computer to construct computer, in short. And this is really the grand challenge in computer science. Can we really automate the design and the construction process? You see, this is like a dream. Of course, research should be 5 years ahead. Hope in the future we could do this. Let me just mention these two projects we are running in Uppsala. One of them, this is the next picture, supported by the European Commission, one of these ERC advanced grant I'm running currently to make this happen. I hope in 5 years I can complete this picture so that on top you can design the system function, you can tell what we want in your car, and then you translate this automatically to software, and then you run this on the hardware. Then of course you need scheduling and all the technique on the right-hand side. We should implement this new technology in another software which can automate the construction process. So that's all. I hope in the not so long future, our computer system would be more reliable, more efficient. And I'm happy to see Huawei is supporting research in this area. So thanks, and thank you for your attention. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you the next speaker, Mr. Jan Madej. He's a professor of computer science responsible for multimedia education at the University of Warsaw in Poland. So Mr. Jan Madej is coming to the stage. Please give him a warm welcome. And after his speech, we have a video about Tech Arena just after the speech, but we will share with you. But now, the stage and the microphone is yours.
From the future, I want to bring you a little bit to the past. Who remembers what it is? But who used it for programming, as I did it 50 years ago? Not too many people. Now I use it still, but for different purposes, to remember what I want to say. So as I say, we come back to the past. On Wednesday evening, 30th May, 1832, in Paris, there was a duel fight between two men because of a woman. One got shot in the stomach and passed away next day. His name was Évariste Galois, genius in mathematics. He was the founder of modern theory of algebraic equations, founder of group theory, which was not recognized for many years. Why I'm mentioning this event? Because when he died, he was less than 21 years old. We are accustomed to the fact that usually, if you want to have results in research, you spend years on tedious research, scientific work. But in some area, abstract thinking is an attribute for young age. There are no mental roots. There are no imposed knowledges. Unlimited imagination. And Seymour Papert, this computer scientist who designed Logo, the first programming language for children, used to say that children develop very well till they go to school. Excuse me. So what we basically need, we need good teachers, especially for STEM education. It is very important. Bad teachers can destroy the whole process of education. Good teachers can make young people interested in what they do. And there are some activities like Olympiad in mathematics, very well known in Poland for over 70 years, Olympiad in informatics, 30 years, or Published Children Fund. This is an institution which for 40 years takes care of gifted children, where we support the education of young kids, school age. It was said already in the afternoon here that this young students is the future of our world. There are many programming contests which are devoted to talented young people, sometimes organized by different companies, sometimes for different audience. But the definite leader of those contests is ICPC, International Collegiate Programming Contest, earlier known ACM ICPC. It has a very long tradition. It started some 45, almost 50 years ago in North America. Now it covers the whole world. It's two-tier contests. You first have regional contests, for instance, in Europe in 4 places. Europe is divided in four regions, and the winners compete in the finals. The scale is very big. It's about 50,000 students participating from a few thousand universities from basically every country now. It is a very interesting contest because you have 1 computer, 3 students, 5 hours, and above 10 problems described as a story. You have to understand the problem which is behind the story, find an algorithm, then program in one of 3 available programming languages. They change. Initially it was Fortran, for instance, Pascal later on, and of course now it's Java, C++. And then send it to the judges. If it is accepted, the time is recorded. If it is rejected, you can still make it up. But if you are ever successful, then for each unsuccessful attempt, you pay 20 minutes. What does it mean? Many teams solve the same number of problems, so the shorter total time, the better position in ranking. So those 20 minutes fine costs a lot, so you should try to avoid it as much as possible. We can look at ICPC as a software engineering world in a capsule, because we have cooperation, 3 students, but competition, access to the keyboard. We have a hard deadline. A solution submitted seconds after the deadline has no value. The same happens in real life. If you are late with your product, you may lose a lot of money. We have informal specification of the problem which we are solving. And ambiguity of a natural language causes well-known problems. And they work under tremendous stress, and that's what happens in real life as well. So I think that ICPC model of contest might be extremely useful for all those applications we're discussing now. The problem, of course, what type of problems are to be solved, it's a matter of what is of interest. But the approach as such is very good. We have examples of extremely gifted young people who got the reputation because of ICPC position. Many of them work for Huawei now, from what I know. And I think we should try to put more attention to it, also in cooperation in preparing problems to be solved. And to finish, I would like just to have a question, which is not to be answered now. What does it mean that the program is correct? I believe this is a topic which we should discuss in the future. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the big question. Who will win, ladies and gentlemen? I can tell you who can create new things and who is able to think innovative nowadays. I think certainly they have an advantage compared to the rivals in any field or area of our lives. Thank you very much and good luck for the students, of course. Our next speaker is the State Secretary for Innovation and Higher Education, Ministry of Innovation and Culture, Hungary. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. László György.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We know very well each other with Zoltán. Thank you very much for announcing me in a way that I'm a sport star, although I'm not just a wannabe sports star. I'm here to explain you what our vision is and how we want to realize this vision, because we share this vision with you and you can help us to make our vision be realized. Our vision is to make Hungary by 2030 the knowledge center of Central Eastern Europe. And we have 7 means to do that, or at least I ordered our actions into 7 points, and that's what I want to talk about. It might sound a little bit abstract. We had some presentations before me. The 2 presentations previous to my presentation were very practical, although I did not understand much of the previous one. was very difficult, very complicated for me. But we learned from the last presentation that abstract thinking can sometimes help us to reach a higher level of knowledge. So first thing, we changed the governance structure of our universities based on good examples from all around the world, from America, Harvard, MIT, from Israel, from Catalonia, from Finland. So good examples which have been successful in the past, in the last 150, 200 years, and which became successful in the last 15 years. And since January the 1st, 2022, we doubled the financing of the Hungarian universities. We doubled the financing of the Hungarian universities. Now Hungary belongs to the top 5 countries within the European Union which spends the most as a percentage of the GDP on its university environment. Second point, we do not stop here. We are executing the largest ever infrastructure development in our RDI, research development and innovation ecosystems and university ecosystems. It means that until 2030 we will spend around 6-7% of the GDP on building new infrastructure for our universities, buying new equipments, cutting-edge equipments, creating cutting-edge environments. We already built 2, so we have the example what we are doing and how we are doing. ELI, the Attosecond Laser Research Institute, is now the best in its shape and in its category, where you can research with high performance laser equipments across Europe and around the world. And also we built Zalazone, Z-Zone, the most comprehensive and largest autonomous and connected driving test field in western Hungary, in Zalaegerszeg, with connection to Austria and Slovenia as well. So we have a multi-country approach to testing connected and autonomous cars. The third is that we continuously increasing research development and innovation spending in Hungary. It might be shameful, but it was only 1.1% of the GDP in 2010, but last year it was already 1.7% of the GDP, and we have a plan to increase it to 3% of the GDP, which is also the goal of European Union countries at a glance, but now we belong already to the average and we are expanding from here. The fourth is that we are focusing on our spending. It's not enough to increase the spending. If you have less amount as a percentage of GDP, or if you're a small country and you have, in absolute terms, less amount than other large countries, if you focus your activities, you can be as successful as others who spend a lot but do not focus. So that is why we created our national laboratories. Through the national laboratories, we collected all the knowledge in fields which are important to the world, which are important to us, and in which we are good at. And you can relate to these national laboratories. So that is what I recommend you here, what I recommend to Huawei, to connect to our national laboratories, where they can find useful knowledge, useful basic research for their business-oriented activities. The fifth is that we are creating an environment for global value chains, not only for Hungarian startups, spin-offs, not only Hungarian-owned companies, but global value chains as well, to make them bring their problems, bring their challenges to us, to create an environment in which you can be sure that we will find answers to your problems. Very important, not problems to your answers, but answers to your problems. And one thing is the financial environment. McKinsey & Company made a research in the Central Eastern European countries, which country gives the most incentives for companies who invest into research, development and innovation, and they concluded that Hungary is the number 1 out of these countries. Number 6 is that we are creating an environment, not only financially, but also brain-wise, which means we created a Hungarian startup university program in which, as a percentage of population or the percentage of university students, the largest percentage of students are participating. Just in last year, 4,000 Hungarian students participated in this program and 200 ideas were financed. In this Hungarian Startup University program, we are connecting adventurers, university students. You don't have to be old to be capable of solving problems, as we know from the previous presentation, and connect their knowledge, connect their entrepreneurial skills, connect their adventurer character with your challenges. So we invite you to this Hungarian Startup University program. Share with us your challenges. We might find from different approaches answers to your challenges. Why I'm telling you that? There is a company, an American company. I can tell BlackRock because Melanie Seymour, who brought BlackRock here to Hungary, and they visited different Central Eastern European locations where they wanted to establish their RDI center, and they chose Budapest. And she says they chose Budapest because of two reasons, and the second reason will be my seventh point and my last point. And the first reason is that she realized that we Hungarians are problem solvers. I was curious what she's thinking of, and that's why I invited her for a lunch. What do you mean that we are problem solvers? And she said, you know, you are critical thinkers. What do you mean that we are critical thinkers? You are criticizing everything. I know, that's for sure. So we are critical thinkers in the way that we are criticizing things. But if it is combined with a good management practice or good management practices, this critical thinking can become a problem-solving skill. So I still foster our students every time when I visit the university to be rather problem solvers than critical thinkers, because we have this given attribute, we Hungarians, that we are critical thinkers, but it's a higher abstraction level if you can solve problems. And the last thing, what she said, she traveled around Central Eastern Europe. This will be a very patriotic thought of mine, that she said that Hungary, and especially Budapest, is a very livable city. And as far as I'm concerned, the living standard will depend very much on the social homogeneity of a society. It doesn't mean that you cannot be from different races, from different religions, but whether you can keep the homogeneity of your society. If your country or city can be and remain safe and peaceful, whether the environment is inspiring, whether the natural environment and the built environment is inspiring. So peaceful, secure environment, livable built and natural environment. These are now probably not as important as we might think, but will be very important by 2030. Thank you very much for your attention.
Köszönjük szépen! György Lászlót hallották. Thank you, Mr. László György. And now I'd like to ask Dr. Gergely Deli, the rector at National University of Public Services in Hungary, on the stage, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor and pleasure to be here today and sign the agreement between the University of Public Service and Huawei Technologies Hungary. Hereby, the University of Public Service is becoming a collaborative partner of the global framework of Huawei's corporate social responsibility program, flagship program called SEEDS. This partnership enables outstanding students of our university to access and benefit from Huawei's global training programs in the forthcoming years, including Huawei ICT Academy. Hopefully, this partnership will encourage further R&D activities and talent development through scholarships. The University of Public Service is dedicated to serve as an effective educational and academic base for public administration and public service development in Hungary. It is a privileged institution with a unique educational profile entrusted with a wide range of tasks and responsibilities by the Hungarian state. The fields of education and research include public governance and international studies, law enforcement, military sciences, and water sciences. However, our mission and strategic scope exceed these fields and cover relevant issues related to social well-being, security, ecological change, sustainability, or technological transformation. Huawei is a leading global information and communication technology solution provider, an innovator with a robust and ever-evolving international network of its own businesses, workforce, and external partners. In addition to Huawei's global economic role, it is very important to highlight its commitment to social responsibility, including talent development and environmental sustainability. The agreement we sign is supposed to increase the intensity of our cooperation and to broaden its fields. Today is undoubtedly a significant milestone in the history of the ever-developing partnership between UPS and Huawei, but not the first one. About a year ago, at the Tech for Green conference, UPS and Huawei were proud to announce the latest joint project carried out by professionals of the Department of Regional Water Management at the Faculty of Water Sciences of our university with their counterparts from Huawei. Water sciences have had a long tradition in Hungary and in our faculty as well. Water management will fundamentally define the world's and Hungary's development, economic performance, food security, environmental status, and citizens' life quality. The importance of availability of water in adequate quantity and quality, and the need for climate and flood risk resiliency make water management a strategic sector everywhere. Advanced research, field measurements, and laboratory modeling in hydrology, water management, and engineering require the use of state-of-the-art technologies, high-speed data transmission, and adequate energy supply, if possible, with green solutions. Supporting the research activities of the Department of Regional Water Management in Hungary, in the southern Danube area, Huawei Technologies Hungary provides 5G internet connection and green mobile photovoltaic installations, which can be built and efficiently used on special research vessels and in field labs. Generating energy for research equipment and research vessels without pollution, including noise pollution, is an important asset, especially in undisturbed natural areas. This collaboration is an excellent example of how an actor from the business sector can support an academic institution, creating value and showcasing the evolving and sustainable role of modern technology in environmental protection and research. As the shortly depicted project suggests, the University of Public Service and Huawei can identify core areas to cooperate successfully with socially beneficial results. We share fundamental values and goals, which guide our common initiatives. But most notably, the key driver of our joint projects is unambiguous commitment to innovation, internationalization, and cooperation. All countries, including Hungary, have become increasingly innovation-driven. The mission of our university is to teach, mentor, and orient new generations of creative and ambitious young professionals to build Hungary, the Hungarian public service, and Europe to the best of their knowledge. Innovation and internationalization have always been an integral part of our strategy as a university and research institute. We initiated, in the framework of a dedicated strategic program, creative and innovative teaching methods with leading-edge best practices and smart technologies. We established a technology transfer and knowledge management system with 6 successive segments to facilitate, among other things, innovative business-academic collaborations. UPS talent management system is consistently improved, and we are particularly pleased that a broad international academic network is now built around UPS with top universities, leading research institutes, and other distinguished professional organizations from almost every significant global region, including a number of well-known Chinese universities and research institutes. It is a priority for UPS to further expand student and staff mobility, and similarly to Huawei's SEEDS program, to value cross-cultural competencies and diversity. Several other points of connection and potential fields of cooperation could be mentioned. But I would like to emphasize how important the collaboration between Huawei and the UPS is for our respective countries. Both China and Hungary are committed to bilateral cooperation. The relationship between our nations is diversified and stable. National strategies in both countries focus on creating an appropriate framework to allow the economic and social actors to exploit the potentials of innovation as fully as possible. In 2019, just 3 years ago, our university had the privilege to host an international diplomatic event and conference to celebrate the 17th anniversary of diplomatic cooperation between China and Hungary. Although the last 2 years have proved to be particularly challenging for all of us, these years have also clearly demonstrated the value of international cooperation and mutual aid, the importance of innovation and flexible adaptation to new circumstances. And we cannot forget the significance of digitalization, using smart solutions, strong infrastructure, and high-speed transmission in daily life. We cannot predict what the forthcoming years will bring, but we can, and I think we should, strengthen mutually beneficial cooperation to be able to cope with future challenges. This is why I am particularly grateful and proud to further extend our partnership by signing this agreement today. Thank you for your attention.
Please stay on the stage because, yes, as you mentioned, this is a very important moment in our program and today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, Huawei established the Seeds for the Future program, as you heard earlier, to inspire young talents globally to shape the future. Seeds provides training about the latest technologies. Allow me to greet Bosnia-Herzegovina students who are watching us online. So hello to Sarajevo, and of course I kindly welcome all of our online viewers right now. And now a new seats agreement is going to be signed, ladies and gentlemen. The University of Public Service and Huawei are starting a cooperation about jointly facilitating students' research projects in the university with different initiatives.
For the signing ceremony, I kindly ask Mr. Radoslav Kenja, Vice President of Huawei, C Nordic region. Actually, a digital document will be signed on a tablet. So please.
Yes, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
That's the way forward. We should always have non-printed documents to make sure that we are green friendly.
And yes, this is the moment. One autograph, one sign is there. And now the other one. And we can show you. Yes! Please put your hands together for this very important moment. I will show this first to the viewers as a kind of proof. You can see this is the document. And I kindly ask you to go there with this and
take a picture.
Take a picture about this.
Great moment.
So 3, 2, 1, and action!
Handshake. That's perfect.
So Mr. Deli and Mr. Kenja just signed this kind of cooperation seats agreement between the Huawei and the university. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. A very important moment.
Thank you so much. And as we have learned and have seen, seeds for the future cooperations are going on for a while. So in the followings, we are going to see some results of Huawei's cooperation with universities. I'd like to ask the students of University of Pécs to take the stage to introduce their projects. The young talents are, by name, Zsuzsa Kataram, Dóra Erika Simon, Kristóf Fülöp, and István Roland Pintér.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome then these young students from the beautiful city of Pécs. This is a fantastic city at the southwestern part of the country, a real university city with a fantastic Mediterranean atmosphere. And now they will highlight their project and showcase their project. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thanks.
Thank you for the introduction. I would like to start. Good afternoon. My name is Roland Pintér, and I would like to talk about my Huawei Seeds project. I'm a computer science engineering student. I'm in my third year at the University of Pécs, Faculty of Engineering and Information Technology. My project's goal is to develop a website which allows you to monitor multiple people's bodily functions, such as breathing volumes, heart rates, and general activity, for example, in real time, with the help of a smart shirt, as you can see, and a 5G capable smartphone. Originally, the smart shirt only allows you to monitor the wearer's data. However, there are situations where it is beneficial to observe all the users at the same time. You can imagine group activities where it is useful to monitor how every individual experiences stress. When we first imagined this project, we envisioned an almost futuristic-looking interface with like what you would see in a movie. The continuation of this project could lead to many interesting paths. Thank you for your attention.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kataram. I am a computer science engineering student at the University of Pécs. I am in the final semester of my bachelor's degree, and I have a great interest in cybersecurity. Hence, I am doing a project on this topic with my mentor, Gábor Gyurek, as a part of the Huawei Seeds program. But what is cybersecurity and why is it so important? By definition, it is the practice of protecting critical systems and sensitive information from unauthorized access and cyber attacks. Cyber attacks could bring basically any damage to an organization's data, hardware, software, and of course to its reputation. But the proper measures in place, this can be prevented. Given that the world is more reliant on computers than ever before, cybersecurity has become essential. People are the weakest link in any organization's digital security system. We make mistakes and fall for fraudulent practices, and this is where cybersecurity awareness comes in, which is the main perspective of my project. In my project, the main focus is on the human aspects of information security, with particular regard to the possibilities of developing security awareness. First, an initial assessment is needed on the skills and knowledge of the participants based on the Digital Competence Framework for Citizens. This is an EU-wide toolset that provides common language to identify and describe the key areas of digital competence. It is done by tools like phishing campaign and other social engineering attacks. What makes social engineering especially dangerous is the fact that it relies on human error rather than vulnerabilities in softwares or in operating systems. Phishing is a type of social engineering attack where perpetrators send fraudulent messages to people in order to receive sensitive information or to deploy malicious softwares on the victim's infrastructure. It is the most common attack performed by cyber criminals, and this is why it is the main component of this assessment. After analyzing user behavior, a specific action plan can be developed and implemented on that specific target group. And then the cycle starts again until the desired result is achieved. In conclusion, cybersecurity is not something spectacular. It becomes visible and newsworthy when data is compromised. Risks can partly be managed by introducing physical, administrative, or logical controls, but increasing security awareness is also crucial. Thank you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me.
Audience, my name is Krzysztof Fülöp. I'm a computer science engineer student, and in the UI Seeds program I made a research about electrotechnical laboratory measurements in virtual space. In my project, I made an application in virtual reality that supports education by lowering costs by simulating expensive measurement tools in virtual reality. This is a good education tool because it can keep up to date with the development of new technologies and with the added benefits of continuously renewable learning materials, which are via online videos. They can be easily updated in any time from anywhere. In my development, you can make electronical circuits in a risk-free environment without worrying about compromising expensive measurement tools or getting any injuries like electrical shock. In my development, I like to introduce a new learning method to teach electronical engineers and computer science engineer students. Thank you for your kind attention.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dora Rika Simon, and my mentor is Dr. Oliver Rack. In the Huawei Seeds program, I made a research about virtual reality supported. Sorry, this is the wrong dia. Okay. So I made a research about virtual reality supported simulation of construction site organization and accident prevention. My first idea for this project came to me when I got to know the work of my research group, which is the BIM Skill Lab. From their research, I learned that from all the accidents in the work environment, in Hungary there are approximately 25,000 accidents in each year, and from these 7% happen in the construction industry. And added to this, if you also see the fatal accidents, nearly 30% of the fatal accidents happen in the construction industry. My main goal with my research was to react to these numbers and to create a new and innovative way for educational purposes to accident prevention. So for this, I try to make a virtual construction site. Step by step, I first scanned a chosen site. I made a point cloud from it, and then the 2D plans, a 2D organization plan, and the 3D model. From these assets, I could easily make a basic VR educational application. With this, I also hope to prove that for these kinds of educational investments, we do not need to invest any more than we already have. We only have to reuse our assets, which are already existing in our construction projects. But why use VR? From research, we know that we remember average 10% of what we read and average 20% of what we hear. But from experience, we remember nearly 90% of it. VR gives us an experience-based learning method, and with this, it can also give a danger-free environment for us to practice the work we have to do. And with a complete VR set and additional trackers, we can give the user a full body experience in virtual space. So with this, we can easily reach that kind of memory with the experience which we are hoping for. As a result of my research, I hope to make a comparison between 2D and 3D based educational models, and I hope to prove that my 3D VR educational model can make a deeper and longer lasting understanding of the subject, and in the longer run maybe even save somebody's life. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the students from Page. Can I help you? It's okay. Thank you very much for demonstrating these kind of projects, university projects. Yes, yes, put your hands together for our students who were brave enough to stay here on the big stage in the spotlight. So it's not easy. It's not easy. I can tell you. Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best for this young student. And now, Huawei and the University of Public Service, as you heard it already, are already working on a joint project targeting the environment. And we have a short video about this one. Please have a look.
Keve Gábor vagyok, a Nemzeti Közszolgálati Egyetem víztudományi karának docense. Baján dolgozom, víztudományi karon. Az általam vezetett tanszék kutatási munkái elsősorban a vízgazdálkodás területét érintik, azon belül pedig a hidrometriát. Kifejezetten nagy hangsúlyt helyezünk arra, hogy a vízzel kapcsolatos jelenségeket kint a valóságban, a természetes környezetükben mérjük, és aztán később ez teremti meg az alapot arra, hogy megismerjük ezeket a jelenségeket, és az ebből fogadó ismeretekből akár árvízvédekezés, belvízvédekezési építményeket, infrastruktúrákat tudjunk kiépíteni, illetve az országnak a vízgazdálkodással kapcsolatos kérdéseit megoldjuk. Ide tartozhat akár az asszály kérdése is. Magyarország a Kárpát-medence ölelésében egy medence fenekén fekvő ország, gyakorlatilag a vizeknek a 90%-a befolyik az országba, és körülbelül egy 10% még az alatti az, ami itt keletkezik. Tehát ami itt a vízzel kapcsolatos probléma, az árvíz, az asszály, a belvíz, a vízminőséggel kapcsolatos problémák. Ha a vízminőség így egy kicsit kívül esne, akkor emlékezzünk vissza a cianid szennyezésre, ami a Tiszán végig söpört. Tulajdonképpen ezek azok a problémák, amik itt ezt az országot folyamatosan gyötrik. Széchenyi egyszer úgy fogalmazta meg, hogy egy baj van ezzel az országgal, a sok vagy a túl kevés víz. A Huawei-jel való együttműködés az két pilléren nyugszik. Az egyik, hogy zöld energiával lássuk el azokat a munkálatokat, amik az előbb említett terepfelmérésekkel kapcsolatosak, de egyáltalán az oktatás bármely szegmensét, hogyha említenénk, akkor megújuló energiát tudjunk használni. És ebben nekünk nem csak a napi munkavégzéshez szükséges energia az, ami biztosításra kerül, hanem sokszor olyan területekre kell kimenni, ahol bizony mondjuk a villamos energia ellátása kérdéses, és ehhez egy solar systemmel fölépített utánfutó lenne a segítségünkre, amivel a mérőeszközeinket, illetve a számítógépeknek az energiaellátását tudnánk biztosítani. Másik pillér, ami egy kicsit izgalmasabb talán, az az, hogy a mérések egy részéhez folyamatos internet kapcsolat kell. Az ország lefedettsége az nem áll feltétlenül azon a szinten, meg nem is indokolt sok esetben olyan terepviszonyok között, ahol nekünk mérni kell. Tehát lakott területektől távol eső, eldugott mederrészeknek mondjuk a felmérése, ami nagyon fontos mondjuk árvízvédelmi vagy természetvédelmi szempontból. Ezeknek a felmérése, és éhez is kellhet a folyamatos internet kapcsolat. És az, hogyha a tervek szerint ez sikerül megoldani, valamilyen egyedi megoldással, jelerősítéssel, hogy ezeken a helyeken is nekünk folyamatos internet kapcsolatunk legyen, az egy óriási erőt jelent majd a felmérések, illetve segítséget jelent a felmérésekhez. Azok a kihívások, amik a természeti adottságból erednek itt Magyarországon, azok többé-kevésbé megvan. De a szintén újkori kihívás az talán a amit szoktak mondani, a klímaváltozás vagy globális felmelegedésből eredő klimatikus viszonyoknak a megváltozása, ami a vízügyesek számára azt jelenti, hogy még ha átlagos értékben nagyjából mondjuk a csapadékviszonyok meg is egyeznének az elmúlt és a követő esztendőkben, annak az eloszlása időben megváltozik. Tehát sokkal gyakrabban és sokkal nagyobb extremitásokra lehet számolni. Ez lehet hosszabb aszályok, lehet nagyobb árvizek, lehet hosszabb elvizes időszakok, illetve ezekkel kapcsolatos teendők. Az árvízvédekezésnek az elsődleges eszköze ez a töltések közé szorított folyó. Ma már ott tartunk, hogy ez nem lehet egy végső megoldás, a töltéseket végtelenségig nem lehet emelni. Korlátja van ennek, és ezt a korlátot többé-kevésbé Magyarországon már elértük. Azt a kutatást kell előnyre helyezni, ami azt szorgalmaz, hogy miként lehet a túl sok vizet abban a keresztmetszetben, abban a geometriai körülményben, ami adott, levezetni. Ha belegondolunk, hogy ketté vágunk egy hullámteret töltéstől töltésig, ahol középen van a folyó, akkor a hullámtéri erdő, meg egy csomó minden, holtág, olyan területek vannak, ami olykor nehezíti a víz levonulását. Nekünk olyan kompromisszumot kell találni ezen a területen, ami a természetvédelmi értékek megőrzését, a környezetvédelmet támogatva, a rekreációt elősegítve, és egyébként még az ott levő erdőgazdálkodást, vadgazdálkodást is kiszolgálva lehetővé teszi, hogyha túlzottan sok az a víz, vagy ne adj Isten a jég, mert ez is van folyóinkon, ez levezethetővé váljon. Ehhez a hullámteret, vagy az úgynevezett nagyvízi medret, azt oly módon kell kezelni, amit csak is tudományosan megalapozott módszerekkel lehet megtenni. Ezt pedig a mi méréseink szolgálják.
And now it's time to move to the next topic of today's conference, which is environment protection, biodiversity protection, hot issues that can be carried forward to the next level thanks to technology. Let's welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Chrissy Durking. She's the Vice President of Growth and Impact at Rainforest Connection, who will share with us online how it can happen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chrissy Durkin. I'm the VP of Growth and Impact at Rainforest Connection. I'm very excited that everyone is gathered here today to talk a little bit about something very important to me and close to my heart, biodiversity conservation. Unfortunately, the 21st century marks an era in which biodiversity is threatened at the global scale. Biodiversity, in all its aspects, is fundamental to the processes that support life on Earth. Without healthy populations of a wide range of animals, plants, and microorganisms, ecosystems may fail to provide us with all of our needs for life. Functional ecosystems give us clean water and pure air, maintain our soil, regulate the climate, and recycle nutrients. They provide us with food. Unfortunately, there is now ample evidence that the population of species and taxonomic groups are declining worldwide, even inside protected areas, and human activities are the main culprits. Therefore, it's our duty to preserve and protect nature and biodiversity. So these shifts in species distribution due to climate change will likely create new ecological communities, which will impact ecosystem function. Loss of biodiversity due to climate change can directly and indirectly change the patterns and dynamics of energy flow and material circulation, which dramatically impacts ecosystem services. As climate changes, species that presently occur in protected areas may also shift their ranges outside the boundaries of protected areas, increasing their vulnerability to other human impacts. So, despite all of this that's happening, there is really limited understanding of the impact of habitat destruction and climate change on multiple components of biodiversity. Their functional or interactive roles in ecosystem integrity and stability, how the system will respond to biodiversity loss, and ultimately affect the societal benefits they support. So there's this urgent need to gather and share the most up-to-date information about how biodiversity is being impacted with decision makers. So most traditional approaches for biodiversity monitoring are time and labor intensive, restricting the data to small temporal and spatial scales. So only in recent years have we had the technology to store and analyze massive data sets to extract meaningful information. There's this huge knowledge gap still in what is happening with biodiversity globally because of these limitations. So Rainforest Connection focuses on acoustic monitoring. So almost all species make noise: frogs, birds, bats, mammals, insects. If you've ever gone into the forest or the woods or really any ecosystem nearby, you've probably heard all of the noise that is happening. So if you're trying to understand how biodiversity is being impacted by climate change, encroachment, land degradation, acoustics is a particularly effective way to see how distributions of species are shifting. This is challenging to do with any other type of data. Visual-based monitoring is quite limited and just doesn't capture anywhere close to the amount of information we can by listening. So what we do is we pick out the calls of different species, all communicating at the same time in the forest. We do this with our platform called Arbimon. Historically, even with acoustic monitoring, scientists have stored their data on hard drives and annotated acoustic data really manually. But with the Arbimon platform, data is stored in the Huawei cloud, and we have tools to quickly analyze the calls of individual species and also the soundscape as a whole. So our goal is to take these analyses out of the hands of only scientists and translate it and make it possible for anyone interested in protecting biodiversity, from governments to local communities, to use these insights to create positive change. To do this, we have to gather a lot of data, we have to analyze a lot of data, and then we have to present the results. So the first step is Rainforest Connection enables local people to deploy offline devices across a region. They're left in the field for a couple of weeks, and then all of those devices are collected and the data is uploaded into the platform where we are developing artificial intelligence models. Regional convolutional neural networks is what they're called, to automatically identify hundreds of species. We can then visualize what's happening and put that information into the hands of decision makers, creating these plans for conservation, from protected areas to corridors to resource management plans. So Rainforest Connection is a part of Huawei's Tech for All program, doing this work around the world. We're currently working in about 14 countries. And we have done all sorts of things. We've worked directly with Huawei in Costa Rica to monitor the spider monkey, in Chile to monitor the critically endangered Darwin fox and many other species of high conservation concern, and in mangroves in Mexico to monitor birds and jaguars in the Yucatan Peninsula. We're just getting started with mapping entire ecosystems of fauna in Colombia and in Ecuador. I am very excited to be launching our first project in Poland with Huawei in Biodiversity National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is an area of critical importance for conservation. The national park protects the best preserved fragments of the Biodiversity forest, the last natural forest at the European lowland area. This park has incredible biodiversity, including over 800 vascular plant species, more than 8,000 invertebrate species, approximately 120 species of breeding birds, and over 50 species of mammals. Some of the bird species include the Eurasian pygmy owl and three-toed and white-backed woodpeckers. Many of these species are endemic to the area, and there's a ton of migratory species that pass through as well. We will be tracking 15 bird species and 2 mammals, the wolf and the lynx. We'll be using over 70 devices spread across the park, and we'll work closely with the national park to deploy the devices and extract the analyses. These results will lead to increased awareness of the biodiversity of the park and improved management plans for all of these species of interest. Thank you so much for listening, and you can learn a little bit more right now.
Puszcza Białowieska jest to jedyny las o cechach naturalnych. Las, w którym od wieków toczą się procesy niezakłócone albo mało zmienione przez działalność człowieka. Puszcza Białowieska jest ważna dla Polski, jeżeli chodzi o różnorodność biologiczną. Nie tylko dlatego, że przetrwał tutaj żubr, ale wiele innych gatunków. Tutaj można obserwować, jak wyglądają interakcje pomiędzy gatunkami, na przykład drapieżnik ofiara, więc jest to las o niezbadanym bogactwie, które staramy się odkryć, ale co i róż jakieś nowe gatunki dla świata nauki, czy tylko dla Puszczy Białowieskiej są odkrywane. Huawei Polska dostarczy nam urządzenia, które będą służyły do nagrywania głosów zarówno ptaków, jak i ssaków. Zostaną one rozmieszczone na terenie całego parku i będą nagrywane głosy. Później te głosy będą za pomocą sztucznej inteligencji przetwarzane w ten sposób, że będziemy mogli się zorientować, gdzie dany gatunek został nagrany. Cieszymy się, że Białowieski Park Narodowy został wybrany jako pierwsze miejsce w Polsce do stosowania tego typu monitoringu, dzięki któremu dowiemy się więcej o rozmieszczeniu ważnych gatunków na terenie Puszczy Białowieskiej.
Yeah, thank you very much. And our next speaker came all the way from Norway, ladies and gentlemen. He is a data scientist of Simula Consulting, as I mentioned, Norway. Please welcome on stage Mr. Omar Richardson.
Hi everyone. My name is Omar Richardson. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for organizing this beautiful conference and allowing me to have a talk. Thank you very much. So yes, all the way from Oslo, and this project hails from even further up in Norway, in a little place called Berlevåg. Today I want to talk to you about a Huawei-led consortium that has been combating invasive species in rivers. And let's see. I think I will start with some slides and then show you a movie a little bit after. So, a little bit about me, a little bit about us. I'm a data scientist at Simula Consulting, the consultancy division of Simula Research Laboratory. We are based in Oslo and we work on pushing the state of the art, but more importantly, bringing the newest academic discoveries to yield solutions for our daily problems. We do so by focusing on key ICT areas. You see them here. But the one I will be talking about today is our core business, which is artificial intelligence, more specifically, machine learning. So the issue that has been popping up in Norway over the last 10 years is the appearance of the invasive species, the humpback salmon, also called pink salmon. So ever since early 2010, we've been encountering more and more humpback salmon in the rivers. Their population is increasing exponentially, and they are not an original species there. This is forming more and more of an issue because they are a threat to the native species, the Atlantic salmon, and because these species are competing for the same resources, and the humpback salmon is growing and much more aggressive, it's forming a threat to the Atlantic salmon population, which in itself is a staple in the Norwegian diet and one of the largest exports, a strong export product. Another issue is that the pink salmon, as opposed to the Atlantic salmon, dies after laying eggs, which leads to a huge number of rotting carcasses in rivers all across the north of Norway. This in turn affects the water structures in the rivers and affects the animal living in the rivers and the one living around it quite strongly. So this needs to be combated. The the humpback salmon population is growing and growing, and next year it is expected to be over 1 million individuals appearing over more than 50 rivers. But the challenge is that they are quite similar to their nephew, the Atlantic salmon. They have similar breeding patterns on similar times, and while people try manually to combat the rise of this pink salmon, they are not succeeding because manual solutions are not sustainable in this case. It is really hard to just go in all of these rivers and put cages and try to filter the Atlantic salmon from the humpback salmon. There are more automated approaches in play as well, but most of them lack the intelligence required to eliminate most of the human labor required to really make a difference. So for this reason, Huawei started a consortium of local actors in Norway that are coming together and that are bundling their expertise to try to find a solution. And the solution that we've worked on, that we've deployed this summer in Berlevåg, is the AI-powered fish trap. Here on the right, you see the other actors that are in this. So there's the Berlevåg Fisk- och Jaktvereningen, so the Fishing and Hunting Association in Berlevåg. They are deeply familiar with the rivers in Berlevåg and around, and the behavior of both Atlantic salmon and the humpback salmon. Apart from Huawei, which I'm sure you're familiar with, there's also trawl systems. These are experts on underwater robotics, so they have experience in building equipment for fish farms, for other kinds of, structures that allow the scale up of mostly farmed fish. And there's us, Simula Consulting. We've been responsible for the software development, the AI and the machine learning, and the integration in the solution. So briefly, I can show you what this looks like. You see on the right side, you see the Storelva, the river that the solution has been deployed into. And on the left side, you see the device itself. You see on the left side this black cage, and in the middle a door. So the fish comes in from the right side, swims in this tunnel. There's a camera that takes pictures of the fish and feeds these pictures to an edge device, the Atlas 500, which is a Huawei machine, which is able to do model inference, so AI predictions with incredible speed. And if this image is determined to have an Atlantic salmon in it, this doorway that you see will open, and the Atlantic salmon is able to swim onwards upstream. However, if a humpback salmon is detected, the door does not open and the fish swims into the cage. The cage is emptied manually depending on how quickly it fills, every, say, week or so, and the humpback salmon can be processed. So what does this look like? These are camera images that we've seen. We see on the top an Atlantic salmon. We see there's a red dot that turns green as soon as the Atlantic salmon is detected. And on the bottom, you see a male and a female humpback salmon. And on the male humpback salmon, which is in the right corner, you can see why it's called humpback. It is a hump. The female one is a little bit more difficult to differentiate from the regular salmon, but computer vision algorithms do manage. And here you see that the fish is recognized, but there's no cage opening sent. Okay, I don't think I have the time to go into in depth on how our machine learning setup works, but I would like to say a few words about the general setup. So as I mentioned, the model is deployed on the edge device, the Atlas 500. Here we capture the frames, we run the classification algorithm, and all the data and images are stored in the cloud, where they are presented over a web interface to the river owners and managers that are able to monitor the evolution of the fish in the river, as well as reclassify any off data. Okay, in the future, we plan to scale up the solution. So after our successful prototype stage, interest has been expressed from over 50 river owners to see if this could be installed in their rivers as well. We plan on moving on with this because for every ML model, it holds that it improves with more data, and being able to deploy this in different stages would really increase the quality of this model and derived models of it. Another thing that we're hoping to extend it to is to be more precise in species and subspecies. In addition, from a technical perspective, it would be really interesting to find out how we can compose some machine learning models so that every new deployment is as accurate from the get-go as possible. I want to leave you with 3 key lessons that I think are very valuable, that were very valuable for us in deploying this project. So we've learned that AI is a powerful tool for monitoring and protecting wildlife for 2 reasons, because it reduces the invasiveness of humans in the wild, but it's also much more scalable and able to, like Chrissy just mentioned, to able to detect things that we couldn't and be in places we can't be at the same time. Second, and this is valid for every ML application, high-quality data collection is key. Without high-quality data, your machine learning model is completely useless. But with it, you can exceed the expectations of whatever you had in mind. Finally, especially in a project like this, I would say that collaboration with local partners and with experts is crucial for success. This was a bottoms-up approach, and because of the knowledge that Berlevoog Fiskvereniging had, the Troll system had, we were able to quickly make iterations, see what didn't go well, improve and deploy, and see the positive effects in the rivers. Thank you very much for your attention, and I think I would like to show a video now, if that's possible. Yes, thanks.
Vi har et kjempeproblem. Klarer vi ikke å stoppe den, så overtar den elven. Våre laks, våre sjørøyer er borte, og vi har bare pukkellaks igjen. Dette er et ansvar som myndighetene har. Selvfølgelig, de må gjøre noe med det. Ikke bare sitte på en krakk og vente. Vi gjør noe med det her, sammen med Huawei, og det er vi glad for.
Vi har jo de som har initiert dette prosjektet. Det er jo vi som styrer det og har drevet dette og hentet inn disse samarbeidspartnerne, Troll Systems og Simula. Og utover det så er det vi som bidrar med serverene og applikasjonen rundt dette med kunstig intelligens.
Ideen til prosjektet startet ikke så langt herfra. Det startet på Nordkinnhalvøya. Det var å fisket i et par elver der oppe. Og så hørte jeg hvordan de lokale var mer og mer opptatt av pukkellaksproblematikken som kom fra Russland. Og så tenkte jeg at dette er jo noe som vi må gjøre noe med. Her må vi kunne bruke kunstig intelligens til å finne ut av hva som er pukkellaks, hva som er atlanterhavslaks, og så stoppe pukkellaksen fra å komme opp i elvene og ødelegge for laksen vår.
Jeg håper dette prosjektet kan implementeres i andre elver, og at det fører til at man kan bevare den bestanden vi har av atlanterhavslaks i de ulike områdene i Norge og de ulike vassdragene, og at man kan få fjernet pukkellaksen og oppdrettslaksen i elven som faktisk forstyrrer bestanden av atlanterhavslaks.
Det som er hele poenget med dette prosjektet, det er å få tatt ut pukkellaksen. Og for å gjort det, så vil vi få mye mer kontroll over elvene våre. I tillegg så vil jo dette systemet gi et veldig detaljert informasjon om all oppgang av fisk i denne elven her sånn. Og det er jo noe som i hvert fall disse jeger- og fiskeforeningene forteller oss at det vil nesten være like viktig som dem, som å ta ut pukkellaksen.
Nå monterer vi steg 2 i det vi startet med i fjor. Nå får vi den automatiske fella på plass. Og det blir jo helt fantastisk når vi klarer å skille ut pukkellaksen frøer som vil komme i store mengder i vassdragene våre.
Selve fella, eller prinsippet med fella, er relativt enkelt. Fisken rett og slett går inn i et bur som en teiner, og blir stående der til noen manuelt sorterer den ut. Det er jo pukkellaks vi snakker om i hovedsak, som kommer annethvert år, og i tillegg så er det jo andre uønskede arter som oppdrettslaks som også vil bli sortert ut.
Systemet her vil avhjelpe oss til å få mye mer informasjon, og mer informasjon om fiskens vandringer, hvor stor gytebestand vi har, i det hele tatt alle data som er viktige egentlig for oss å vite. I tillegg frigjør det mye arbeid i foreninger. Vi kan bruke energi til andre ting.
Det er jo et veldig artig samarbeid. Vi står liksom i spagat mellom et av verdens største teknologifirmaer og en dugnadsgjeng fra Berlevåg. Fantastiske folk i begge leirer.
Vi driver med denne type prosjekter egentlig rundt omkring i hele verden. I alle land vi opererer, så ønsker vi å bidra og bruke teknologi til å hjelpe naturen eller andre tilsvarende problemer. Å bruke teknologi for å løse miljøproblemer, det er noe vi jobber med ganske rundt omkring i verden, og har stor glede av det.
Jeg er veldig glad i den delen her av Norge, oppe i nord, her oppe i Finnmark. Det er en fantastisk del av landet vårt. Du har alt fra midnattssola på sommeren sånn som vi er nå. Du har vinterhalvåret, dekket av snø. Det er mørkt, og det er helt magisk med nordlys. Og jeg er også veldig opptatt av at vi jobber med å ivareta den naturen og elvene våre.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you so much. And please stay with us on stage because you will be a participant of the next panel.
I mean, thank you very much for this fantastic presentation. Tusen takk, as you say up in Norway. It's my pleasure. I've spent a few weeks in Norway, up in the north. I mean, in North Cap a few years ago, and it was an amazing experience. The nature is just fantastic. And as Omar mentioned, I mean, mankind reached the point that we are able to generate data, digital data of almost everything. But the big question is, how quality are these data? I mean, the good quality data is very important, as you mentioned, for the machine learning. So we have to structure this kind of data that we are able to collect almost on every field or area of our lives. Thank you very much, Omar.
So there are a few chairs for the participants of the next panel, which is about how technologies support creative solutions to preserve biodiversity.
So please welcome Omar Richardson on the stage again. Professor Christian Schulze, Department of Botany and Biodiversity Research, University of Vienna, so from Austria. Professor Enikő, yes, the supporters are here, so please put your hands together for them. Professor Enikő Anna Tamás, Faculty of Water Sciences, University of Public Services, Hungary. David Morris, Vice Chair, United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific Sustainable Business Network. And, of course, the host, the moderator of this panel discussion, Director of Public Affairs and Communication, Hungarian Western Balkans, the host of the panel discussion, Marian Gece from Hungary.
How innovative can you be in time speeding? Speed up the time. Do we have any innovation on that? Not yet. Okay, so thank you for taking this panel. Thank you, Amar, for your presentation. And I would like to ask briefly our guests who are first time on the stage to introduce themselves shortly. Please, Annika.
Thank you very much. So I'm happy to be here. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce myself. So my name is Annika Tamás. As you have heard, I'm coming from the University of Public Service. So just a little shortly before, you have seen my rector signing the agreement with Huawei for which I'm really very happy. And you might already also have seen the short movie that was projected like 20 minutes ago, that was about my department where I work and also about some of the research that we are doing. So I'm trying to not to speak about the same things that were already mentioned before. So as an educational institute, of course, our main goal is to train the future to be engineers that will work in public service, mainly in Hungary and also in the industry. So we train civil engineers, environmental engineers, and water operation engineers on the undergraduate level. They are, all of them can choose between some specializations, so they can major in regional water management, in urban water management, or hydrogeology. And at the master's level, we train also water policy and water diplomacy specialists. And we also participate in some postgraduate specializing trainings. That means that we are training professionals in hydrometry, professionals in flood management, and professionals in nature protection aspect, water management alike. So these are the basic activities that we are doing. Our campus is located in Baja, next to the Danube River, in a very nice environment that is 160 kilometers south of Budapest. So my profession is also civil engineering, and I teach hydrology, hydrometry, and river management. So this is also my background. Thank you.
Thank you. Christian?
Well, my name is Christian Schulze. I'm based at the University of Vienna, where I'm at the Department of Botany and Biodiversity Research, which is perhaps a bit misleading because I'm an animal ecologist and not a botanist. But I'm interested in biodiversity, and actually the issues I'm interested in have been already nicely summarized by Chrissy Durkin in her video. So actually, I'm interested in the protection of biodiversity, and that's also the link to Huawei, because Huawei is supporting one of our projects, which has a very strong focus on biodiversity conservation. Perhaps I just briefly talk a bit about the background of this project. It's a project which is using technology to assess biodiversity in this huge reed area of Lake Neusiedl, which is part of or it's embedded partly in this national park, Lake Neusiedl Seewinkel. And this huge reed belt, they are suffering severe problems at the moment, currently due to the extremely low water level of the lake, but well, this is perhaps an issue which is not so important. What is more important, that we see that a very, very strong aging effect of the reed, which is perhaps because of reduced dynamic of the water levels. And this is causing a massive dieback of these huge reed areas and a very strong homogenization. So meaning the research, the habitat requirements for many species which depend on these reed belts are perhaps not fulfilled anymore at the moment. And we already can see, in fact, that a lot of species already start to decline. And because this area is also of Central European importance, there is really time to think about perhaps actions to manage this reed bed. And one possibility would be fire management to generate more heterogeneity in these huge reed areas. But before implementing a project like this, of course, it's nice to have some basic information. And that's what we are collecting now, because we are using a kind of chronosequence from reed areas just recently burned to older reed areas where we assess the bird diversity to get an idea if this could be a successful approach to improve biodiversity again in this very important area.
Thank you. David, all of them, all three of them are somehow connected to the water. Wetland, then Neusiedlersee, Fertőtó in Hungarian, then the Norway Salmon project. I was thinking how to introduce you regarding water, and there is a question. Can you swim? It's in the water.
Well, I can swim, and also I think perhaps I'm perhaps the humpback salmon here because I'm from the Pacific. So I'm actually from the Pacific Ocean, just like those, just like those humpback salmon. So yes, and being an Australian, I can certainly swim. We tend to be famous for that, like Hungarians as well. Yes, look, it's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. And I want to thank the organisers before I introduce myself. And I also want to thank all of you for staying, because those of you who have stayed for the whole programme, it's been a great day, and it's been such an interesting day. So I'm David Morris, and I am here based at Corvinus University of Budapest at the moment, doing teaching and research on sustainability and technology in international relations. I'm also the Vice Chair of the United Nations SCAP, Sustainable Business Network. Now, SCAP is the United Nations regional organisation for the Asia Pacific. And in that work, we are developing a Green Deal for the Asia Pacific. And so that's highly relevant, I think, to everything that's been discussed today.
Okay, thank you. Annika, I would continue with you. How can different, parties, sorry, that's not yours, not like the different organizations and so on. So what do you think? How can the technology help you, your work? That to be more precise, or help with regional cooperations, or how can technology support your water conservation work? In short,
it can support our work much, a lot. So in a little bit longer, you might not know that computers appeared in water technology, in water management in a very early stage, in the 1970s, just a little bit less than 50 years ago. So that was the first case that computers appeared in water management in Hungary, and one of the first computers was in our city, just next door to our campus. And at this early stage, water management related research was already executed using these punch cards that you saw previously in one of the presentations. And since then, such a quick development of informatics, communication technologies, and all kinds of processing technologies and measurement technologies took place, that just a few years ago, measuring, for example, the discharge of the Danube River took more than half a day by a measurement boat. Now, thanks to modern technology and communication and GPS technology and computing and tablets and things like that, it is less than half an hour. So it has extremely helped us. It has extremely made our works and measurements faster, and of course also education faster, like the computer-aided design technologies and also the different online communication technologies help our students a lot. So they can now much more easier and much faster solve their technological problems and design problems and everything like that. So I can only say positive things about the technology development, and it helps us really, as you saw in the previous short movie, with mobile technologies and localization technologies and power support in the remote places as well. So that's what I can say about it.
Omar, the next question I would like to address you. You do this project in Norway with the salmons. What do you think? How could this solution, supported with AI, be expanded? Or can it be a new type of animal monitor like that? Or how can you imagine to enrich this solution?
I would say that there are two ways in which we can directly expand this. And the first one I briefly touched on in the presentation. It would be to, for instance, look at the difference between regular Atlantic salmon and farmed Atlantic salmon. Because there's quite a bit of farmed Atlantic salmon that tends to escape from the fish farms and they are slightly different. They might bring their own set of diseases, and all in all, it's not positive for the river itself. So with much more data, with high quality data, we'll be able to distinguish even between the farmed Atlantic salmon and the natural Atlantic salmon, and be able to catch them and monitor river quality in that way. So I would say that's a direct avenue that we're going to explore in the next coming years. But what I'm hoping for, and it will not just be us, but it will be many parties needed to bring that together. What I'm hoping for is that in the end we'll have a platform where we'll be able to communicate with other parties. For instance, the Rainforest Connection from Chrissy Durkin, and all of this data can be combined so that you can see not just what's happening in different areas of biodiversity, but also how one impacts the other, and how the links, what kind of links exists between biodiversity, making things understandable that we never saw before, and hopefully also be able to address things a little bit quicker than having them get out of hand as they have to do now.
Thank you. Christian, the project at Neusiedlersee, it's 1 year old, as far as I remember your launch. What is your experience? What could be done differently, or what are the first? What is the first experience after this year?
Well, I'm a, let's say, old-fashioned classical field ecologist, and they are never delivering results very fast. Yeah? Well, the problem is, Chrissy Durkin, she already mentioned that the sound recording devices, which we are also using, which we are applying in the field, usually you put them somewhere, leave them in the field for 1 or 2 weeks, and then you get some pretty high quality data on what species are there, how active they are in this area, and so on. But we are particularly interested in get a high resolution picture from our sites, in terms of that we really understand, for example, not just what species are at our sound recording sites, but also during what parts of the year they are using the sites. And we also would like to stand more detailed daily activity patterns and so on. So biodiversity means not just biodiversity of species, it also means biodiversity of behavior and so on. And so the tempospatial patterns of how species are utilizing this reed belt area, this is extremely important for us. And this can be just done with this technological approach. So we are doing the sound recordings at up to 60 sites for 20 months in a row, every 10 minutes for 1 minute. So you can imagine how many data are getting generated. So far, I think we already downloaded 8 terabytes of the sound files. And to analyze this data, well, hopefully in the future, in the very near future, this can be also done with the help of artificial intelligence. But at the moment, what we are still doing is more, we are evaluating the data in a way still manually, while we are using a pattern matching software, but still the software is producing quite a large number of false positives. Yeah? And well, we will try to approve this in the very near future by also applying machine learning approaches and so on. This will be the second step of our project. Very grateful to Huawei, which is financially also supporting this development of this artificial intelligence approach. And well, I'm excited to see how successful we will be in species identification by using this sound files, because the vision for the future is, of course, that you do not necessarily always need experts to generate this data, but also, let's say, citizen scientists or whatever can collect data like this, which then can be provided to, I don't know, get a better idea on population changes of selected species and so on.
Okay, thank you. David, you are the one who are overviewing many climate change policies, what is ongoing. How do you think, what rapid changes can we expect in the area in the future regarding the regulations, national policies, and the cross-continental cooperations? Because this cannot be done without it, right?
Thank you. I think the cross-continental cooperation is a very good point, and we should bear that in mind. We're approaching, a tipping point on our impact on the environment, and we're all aware of that. I want to step back a moment to look backwards, because technology, all through human history, has always driven development. That development that has come from technology, from new invention, changes everything. It changes society, it changes political systems, it changes economies. The steam engine, look at the effect it had, the effect of the telegraph, the effect of radio, and of course all of the technologies we've seen ever since. And we're in another period right now. We're probably at the beginning of it, so we can't see it. Those of us who are not technologists can't see it very clearly yet. But we're in another period of dramatic change, I think. And I think the people who talk about a fourth industrial revolution, the technology that is coming is going to change everything. And so it will change our economies. It will change our societies. But the real challenge we have is that the development that technology has driven especially over the last decades, but over the last centuries, is now having this impact on the environment, and we all know it. But I think it's worth reflecting on what's happening in my part of the world, in the Asia Pacific, because it's a long way from here, and it's very different. It's very diverse. So you have a diversity from very rich, developed countries like my own home country, or like Japan or Korea, and then you have some of the poorest, least developed countries in the world, like Papua New Guinea and Myanmar and Bangladesh, and places that are really struggling with development. Some of them developing, though, very fast. And then you have in the middle, you have a huge number of countries, very large ones as well, included some of the biggest countries in the world, of course, that have been developing very rapidly. And this is a story that we must look at it, I think, as this wonderful human story of development, that we have raised the living standards of such a huge proportion of humanity in the last few decades. And it has been technology driven, because the growth, the initial post-war development of Japan, right the way through to the development we see throughout the Asian region, is driven by having manufacturing that is using the latest technology linked into global value chains. It's all been technology and innovation driven, and it's been about partnerships with European companies and with American companies and others. Now, where this is about to really confront us, and we know this, but we don't really articulate it clearly enough, I think. Where this is about to really confront us is that actually, as this development continues, which it should, because we want the people of Bangladesh or of India to have the same higher living standards that they deserve. But as we see the 1 billion middle class of Asia continuing to consume, and the production of the mass production of consumption in Asia is part of our challenge. And so we have to find a technological solution that is not just in Europe, in a very small archipelago at the end of the Eurasian continent, or not just in North America with a few 100 million people, but in those parts of the world where most of the world lives. We are going to have to embed, with technology, we're going to have to embed into production, into consumption, into waste management, into our transport systems, into our cities, the way they're designed. All of that has to be transformed. And we know this, we have these discussions in Europe, but my point is we have to do this in the really big population centres. We have to do this in the really big growth centres. And that's a huge challenge to come, but it is the challenge for technology, to actually put the environment and people at the heart. Yes, make a profit. Yes, be about growth. But actually that growth in the future has to be about the planet and about people. And this is a fundamental shift that I think the next generation, the young generation, know this, but we older people have got to acknowledge we're in a process of massive change here. So it means changes in policies, it means changes in what governments need to do, but it means changes in what we as individuals, consumers, what businesses do right across the world. And please, in Europe, be leaders for us. Please show us the way, but don't forget it has to be in partnership with your company partners, with your friends and colleagues in Asia and in other parts of the world, because we're all in this together.
Thank you very much. Yes, I hope Huawei can show this way, and with Europe together and with our university partners together. Thanks very much for coming and for your participation and to introduce your project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Put your hands together for our guest. Thank you very much. That was very interesting. Thank you. Good day, mate. Thank you. Sorry, my accent is not really Australian. Anyway, thank you, everyone. And now we just...
You're trying all the time.
Yeah, I was trying, but it's not easy. Not easy to speak Australian.
Okay.
All the way from down
probably
under.
It's not a good question to another Hungarian, but we are many parts of the world in the conference. So I ask you in the whole that, have you ever played with a magic cube?
Oh, very good.
Come on.
Lot of players with the magic cube.
And has the failure to complete caused frustration in any of you?
Some kind of frustration,
because I was
anger.
furious.
Yes.
But I love it in my childhood.
That's fantastic. Have you ever tried it to destroy the whole thing and just plug or just reschedule or remake the whole thing, destroying the cube itself? I mean, I think that was one of the not the nicest, most beautiful solutions. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Hungarian, and the inventor of the Rubik cube is here with us today on the Huawei Innovation Day. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Mr. Ernő Rubik.
We are very happy. Jó napot kívánok. But let's continue in English, huh?
Yes.
Right? So we are very happy and honored to greet you on the stage. Really, I feel like that.
So thank you very much for joining us today. So your original profession is architect, and you are a professor of architecture. Could you tell us a few words about that moment of that process? Was it on purpose when you invented this magic cube, the Rubik cube, or was it another purpose for it?
So was it meant to be a toy or something else?
So, to start at the beginning, naturally, as you said, my original profession is architecture. I'm not started as an architect. I was studied art, sculpturing and painting and so on in the grammar school. But I decided to go to technical university in Budapest, not far from here. And when I finished my school, I felt I'm not ready to, not grown up yet. So I remain much more curious about other things. So it was not common in that time. I made some kind of post-graduation. And went to a school, what we in that time called art school, design school, and now it was a high school, and right now it became a university named after a famous Hungarian artist. And so I learned about 3 years, and after that I was invited to stay in the school on the other part, on the cathedral, and started to lecturing design. So, and I love to do that because I loved the whole atmosphere of the school. It was a design school. In that time, design was not a common word in Hungary, and but it was, we can call it applied art. That means fashion design or industrial design started in that time, or furniture design, or interior design, and so on and so forth. So it was a very complex atmosphere in the school, so I enjoyed the school and I enjoyed the workshops as well. So I like to use my hands, directed my brain, and I was thinking about lecturing as well, so I got some different kind of subject to teach, and one was what we call it arts form, or form studies. And that is an abstract knowledge what we are sharing with people about nature, form, three-dimension, practice to draw and transform three-dimension to two-dimension, vice versa, and so on and so forth. So I was thinking about interesting tasks for the students and for myself as well. So I'm not like that type of situation when the old gentleman is on the cathedral and the people are there and he's telling what's important in life. But much better to work with them and to discover what they are, what way they are thinking, and what their strengths and what they are, what kind of weakness they have, and so on. So try to help them. So in the meantime, I was, from the very beginning of my childhood, I was interested about problem solving, puzzles, and so on, and engineering, because engineering is connected very much space and three-dimension, and dynamical movement and many other things. So, and I was experimenting several interesting areas of life, and one day I was thinking about the clear geometrical forms and shapes, and I chose the cube as one of the most simple and most, in the same time, most rich in order, in form, and started to work on it. It was before my 30th birthday, but it's a good time to do something, finally, start to something seriously, and it was close to 1 year to I fulfill my goal, and it was a very interesting thing, because to do something and think about something what seems impossible, that is the key element to find something new and probably useful thing.
Who or what gave you inspiration?
The nature itself. So that's the order in nature, the understanding of three dimensions, and how we can understand what is there and what's happening in three dimension, about movements in three dimension and so on. So three dimension is very different than two-dimensional way of thinking. So, and the human being is very good on that. So, and I try to follow the ancient rule.
Just one important note that there is a small airport nearby Budapest named after Ernő Rubik Sr., your dad, who designed actually airplanes.
Yeah, next to the entrance of this airport, you can see one of my father's most famous design. That's the name of it. It's Gobe. It's a name from Pennsylvania, but Gobe was one of the first used aluminium for flying in gliders, and my father's main goal was to create aeroplanes which are good for learn to fly. So in that sense, there are some parallel way of thinking that what I did.
So the love of engineering, the design, the love of design coming from your family, I mean, are in your root.
Yes, I think naturally he was more away than at home because he was really very active on his field, and he was, how can I say, in some way he was very fanatic. So he was planning to design the best ones, and probably in that time he did. Unfortunately, the planned economy was not the best for that, because they decided to the base for gliders to manufacture, because you know these within the countries they are made the decisions which country is doing what type of industrial activities, and Hungary was not one of these to choose for that, but he did design, for example, small cars as well, and many other things, and I think what he's done, because of him, lots of people was capable to learn to fly, what is a very interesting.
So back to the magic
way of thinking.
Yeah, we are talking about in this conference digital technologies, innovations. How do the smart solutions, the innovations, assist your work, your job?
Right now, innovation or creativity became a very fashionable word. Right now, we have a whole industry based on creativity. We call creative industry, and creative people are working there. In my belief, creative people are everywhere, in any area of life. Creative people is so you can do everything a common way or a creative way. If you are making try to use your flat and to make order in your flat and cleaning your flat, you can be creative and you can be very effective to do it fast and efficient, or do it on a bad way. You know that the simplest example is if you need to clean the staircase, which part you are starting, downstairs or upstairs. So there are different people, and not everybody knew at once the right solution for that.
So talking about creative thinking and out-of-the-box thinking, do you think is it possible to develop this kind of thinking? I mean, you invented a lot of other, let's call them logic or smart toys.
I was thinking all the time about interesting tasks. I never planned to design the gadget or how can I say, toys. I was catched by the idea of something that seems impossible and to turn it possible. So when the cube was very first distributed, and in some way or another the press picked it up, there were reactions like you can find in articles that's a hoax. It's not possible. It's proved it's not possible to create such a thing, because you know the character of the cube is in contradiction, but it is capable to do using my structuring method. So the cube itself, it's not a flexible form. It's a ball is much more flexible, looks like flexible, and in practice is flexible. You can roll it. You can't roll really a cube. Sometimes if you are playing for dice, you can throw it, but it's not created for that. But because of the structure of the cube, it shows that how the potential of combinations in our world practically, seemingly endless. So you don't need a lot of elements to create a mass. Very few elements are capable to do that if the movement are by itself is complicated or it has a hidden rule. To discover this hidden order, that's the task of the cube, and because of that, it was selling not in a mixed form, because if it's selling in a mixed form and nobody can make it in order, they say it's cheating, it's not possible. But it was, when you get it, it's in order. And after a few turns, you lost, but you have the proof it was ordered, and you didn't took apart and so on. Later on, nature, lots of people were solving it, taking it apart and put it together, but it's cheating, you know.
Just one question about the colors of the cube. Is it any additional meanings of the colors of the cube?
Yeah. So it was when I was working on it, my first main task was to create the structure that is capable to all of the elements freely in 3 dimensions around 3 axes in space. After that, it was worked. I tried to understand what happened, and for that it was necessary to identify the pieces. And I was looking at the simplest way of identifying them, and I used the colors, the simplest one, because I thought the task itself is so difficult. So I tried to make everything else as easy as possible. So, and it was not an easy task to find out the nature of the cube and the solution, and it took a lot of time for me as well. Nature, there was nothing background help to do that. Later on, because of the internet and because many books were published on the cube, it was easier to learn how to do it. But it takes time.
So thank you very much for joining us and sharing your stories and your thoughts. We have to say goodbye in a very common way or creative way.
Yeah, I think so. But ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ernő Rubik, Mr. Ernő Rubik, the inventor of the Magic Cube, the Rubik Cube. And it was a pleasure to greet you, Mr. Rubik, on this very stage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much. Thank
Amazing.
You.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best. Thank
can
you.
we have a picture, maybe just one wish, if you don't mind?
Okay.
You want to take a picture about? Oh, really? Eddie, thank you very much for organizing this one and using the opportunity. Thank you so much. I mean, for our foreign guests, we have to tell you that we spent our whole childhood playing this kind of smart toys invented by Mr. Rubik's. I remember my grandpa, my mom, and my older family members were playing with this. I mean, it's so special.
It was a great opportunity.
Yeah, have a discussion with him on this very stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the Huawei in the day and this fantastic day here in Budapest, an event here in Budapest, the Innovation Day of Huawei.
Yes, let me ask your attention to the Huawei demonstration truck, which is in front of the building. Our colleagues are looking forward to seeing you to show the latest 5G use cases, so don't forget to look at it.
Yes, and thank you very much for bringing back the interpreting devices to our colleagues. Last but not least, delicious snacks await for you in the foreground here. So we kindly invite you for a glass of wine and some fresh bites. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for spending the day with us today. Thank you very much for being with us on the Huawei Innovation Day in Budapest. And what else can we say? Thank you so much and see you next year. Take care. Have a safe trip back home. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.